Hi, my name is Jamaluddin and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to see the depth of wisdom in the chapter 1 of Quran, and through that we are trying to understand what is Allah or universal consciousness, how we are related to it, and why the chapter is the first chapter of Quran is called the opening or Fatiha. So uh, this that what you can see here is a Microsoft Excel sheet which I normally use for researching deeper into Quran. So this Excel sheet has all the word by word meaning of Quran, and it has the traditional Sahih International meaning, and it has the root word of every Arabic word, and it also has an English. And I have a tag which I normally tag once I understood the concept, and a column where I use it for noting down the new derived meaning once I understand the depth of Quran, and this column I use for proof of it. So the chapter 1 of Quran starts with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and the traditional word meaning is in the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. So once you look into this each word deeper and compare with the whole understanding of Quran, you will see that the ism or the root of seen meme vav does not just mean a name, but it has a deeper meaning. So once you look into various lexicons, approved lexicons, and compare the meaning of ism with various lexicon, for example, like Lane's lexicon and Hans Weher and Lisan al-Arab. So a lot of lexicons, and once you compare the root meaning, what you can derive is instead of just a name, bism means just it's not just a name, and ism actually have a deeper meaning, which signifies a sign, a feature, or an attribute which conveys the meaning or understanding about a thing. So what it does really means, Bismillah means by the feature or the attribute which conveys the reality of Allah. So what that is the deeper meaning of Bismillah. So we can understand that in the Quran it is starting that if you want to understand Allah or the universal consciousness, the feature or attribute which conveys the reality is Rahman and Rahim. And the Rahman and Rahim is derived from the root meaning Rahamim. And Rahamim actually uh, has various different meanings, and one is uh, Rahman and Rahim. So Rahman and Rahim is the derived from a from the word Rahmat. So deeper meaning of Rahman and Rahim is just not just most gracious and most merciful. Rahman means possessor and source of all Rahmat. So, and Rahim means having much Rahmat. So what is Rahmat according to classical Arabic? Rahmat means human understanding or blessings. So the Quran, once you understand whole concept of Quran, we will understand that the Quran is talking about the microcosmic operation of human being and its relation with consciousness, and how our awareness is related with consciousness, and how we can be aware of Allah. That is the whole science of Quran. So once you understand that, the true meaning of rahmat is actually the human understanding. So the first verse, the real the explanation of the first verse is in the sign, feature, or attribute which conveys the real reality of universal consciousness. And that reality is every understanding in the face of earth, and the possessor and source is the universal consciousness. And every understanding which gives benefit for everyone, that also comes from the universal consciousness. So that is the real meaning of the verse 1. So, and the next verse further explains what what was before. So next verse starts Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, and the traditional meaning is all praise and thanks be to Allah, the Lord of the universe. And if you look deeper into the Alhamd, Hamd does not just means all praise, but Hamd also has a meaning of he approved a thing or commanded or enjoined him to do it. So once you look into classical lexicons, you will derive that uh, once when an authority, a higher authority approves a thing. So the deeper meaning of Alhamdulillah means the authority, the universal consciousness. He is the possessor. The Rabb means the possessor, having possession. The authority, the higher authority which approves, and he is the possessor of Alameen. And Alameen means just not the universe; it is all the understandings of the universe. So in Quran, once you go deeper, you will see that the as we physically attribute information, we say that information, and we can download information, we can transfer information. The Quran talks about the physical attribute of understanding, and the whole thing is to experience that understanding that you derive with your reasoning. So in this verse number 2, it explains another feature of consciousness, and another feature of consciousness is all approval to understand something in this universe is actually has to be approved from the consciousness itself. So if you want to understand something, it has to be unlocked from the consciousness, and that is how it comes to your awareness. That is how you are able to reason. That is how you are able to sense. That is how you have an experience in this world. So the third verse, it further explains, and the possessor of this understanding, the Lord, the Rabbul Alameen, the possessor of all the universal understanding, he is again Ar-Rahman and Raheem. And the fourth verse, Maliki Yawmiddin, explains the ruling power or the possessor of the moment of state of obedience. So we are trying to understand and experience what is consciousness. We are self-aware, and we are inside a consciousness. We are experiencing inside a consciousness. So to understand and experience it better, the awareness that you are has to be in the state of obedience. So the moment you are in the state of obedience, you belong to consciousness. And when you are not in state of obedience, and when you are drifting away from your awareness, you does not belong to consciousness. So that is the fundamental feature of consciousness, and that is what is explained in Maliki Yawmiddin. And the verse number 5, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You alone we worship, and you alone we ask for help. So, Iyaka, actually, once you go deeper into it, it means I direct myself and I aim to. So, that is what. So, your awareness has to aim or direct to obey with submissiveness for your consciousness. If you want to experience, if you want to understand, if you want to uh, be aware about your consciousness and the universal consciousness, the thing that you need to do is Iyaka na'budu. That means you have to direct or aim yourself with obeying with submissiveness towards it. And Iyaka nasta'in, and I direct myself for all assistance and help. So once you are in consciousness, the entity which created everything, which makes the universe to function, the framework of the universe, the universal consciousness, you need to, that is the only entity which you can assist, which you can give you, because we understood from the previous verse that it explains every understanding has to be approved, and it is the possessor, and it is from the entity that understanding is decoded. So, and the verse number 6 explains Ehdina sirat al-mustaqim. So the traditional meaning is guide us to the path straight. So in this, Ehdina, guide us or show us the way to a path which is even. So we are, the awareness of the self is requesting to the consciousness or the Rabbil Alameen, the universe, universal consciousness or Allah, that show us a straight, guide us to a path which is up straightforward. So what is the straightforward path actually is, you are trying to create an internal connection with the consciousness. So as we discussed in the previous video, we can only be aware, it is through our awareness we can be we know the consciousness. So once you have a straight path where you are sensing the reality, where you are reasoning, using your mind for understanding the reality, where you are using your awareness to understand the reality, that is the straight path which is mentioned here. And the straight Sirat al-Mustaqim is not a physical or not any other event that which is going to come. It is the internal path which you are building yourself towards the higher consciousness. And we are requesting that show us the straight path and the path you have bestowed on them. Siratal ladina an'amta alayhim. So the path through which the benefit has come down. So that is what it means. The path which is delighted from the benefit or benefaction. So how we are getting benefit? Once through your experience, when you understand how to walk, so from the moment once you understand how to walk, that is the benefit that you have from understanding it. So the unlocking of the understanding has to come from your consciousness, and once it is derived, once it is rooted into your awareness, you become aware that how to walk. So that is the path that you need to have with your consciousness, and that is the path through which you are downloading uh, the understandings of the universe, and you are having benefit out of it. And we are requesting that not of those who earned wrath or oiril ma'lubi alayhim. So not of those who earned your wrath. And ma'lub or awab actually has a deeper meaning. So it means no, we are requesting that not of those who become mad, angry, cross, irritated. So once you are not having a straight path where you are corrupting your senses, where you are corrupting your reasoning, where you are corrupting your awareness, then you won't be able to understand the reality. Then you will experience the problems of rejecting the reality, and that is when you become stressful, that is when you will become angry, that is when you become irritated. So that is what is explained here. And lean, and not of those who go astray. And lean actually, uh, deeper meaning of lean means unconsciousness, where you don't have awareness, the automatic working of yourself. So that is once you don't have a pure awareness about yourself, your working, and that is when your mind tend to corrupt the functioning of yourself. That is when you start sensing unreality. That is start you start believing in unreality. That is what you try to become aware of unconsciousness. So that is when you work automatically without being awareness. So this is what. So once you go through it, in the verse 1, it is explaining what is universal consciousness, and it is showing the features through which we can understand, and it is showing the function that all approval has to come from the universal consciousness, and it is the possessor of all the understandings. And the way through which we can be aware is to be in the state of obedience. The moment you become in the state of obedience, you will become connected. and and it explains in further that we have to direct ourselves with submissiveness, and we have to ask the consciousness, universal consciousness, for our help. And it is telling that we need to create a straight path in our awareness, in senses, reasoning and understanding towards the consciousness. And that path is through which we download or we access the understandings, and that is the path through which we benefit out of the unlocking of the understanding. And we request that don't we don't corrupt the path and experience the difficulty of corrupting it. And we request that in order to not to be unconscious or a being which is not conscious of the self. So this is the deeper explanation of the chapter 1. And once you understand this deeper meaning of the chapter 1, and you will understand why it is called an opening. So the chapter 1 of the Quran is actually the scientific opening of the self. It is opening the awareness of a human being to connect towards the higher consciousness. So why I'm not using the word God actually is, uh, the word Arabic word Allah actually has derived from by various features and functions and process. So once you understand the being as Allah, it explains why it is called, in further Quran it will explain why it is called Allah. So the God, the English word literal God, doesn't have that features. So that is the reason why I don't explain the being, the creator, or the universal consciousness as God. So I hope you might have understood the deeper concept of the chapter 1, the opening. And I hope it will explain, and it will connect your inner self towards your own consciousness, and it will help you in your journey in spirituality. So if you have any doubt, please comment and ask in the channel. And if you want to know further, please subscribe the channel. And I myself practicing as a counselor for spiritual psychology. So if you think my wisdom and my method will be helpful for you, please contact me for further discussion. And I hope you will be satisfied with the video. Thank you for watching. May peace be on you all.